Our updated heavy build is really about gearing it towards the heavy plasma rifle. It's seen some significant buffs with the latest patch. It got a base ammo increase, a heat reduction per shot, blast radius increase, and a 10% damage increase as well. Just a much more viable weapon for the class, and overall much more enjoyable to use. For this weapon, there is two different setups that you can use. There is a rapid fire version and a shot charge version. We will discuss both of those. We will also get into what perks you're going to want on the class to pair up with these weapons, and just an overall strategy for how you're going to want to play this build that we have set up. We're going to go straight into the heavy plasma incinerator. With all these buffs it got, it's just worth talking about right here up front. We are going to look at how I have mine spec'd out right here. This is for the shot charge build. There's two different builds that I messed with in this. Also, I used like a rapid fire build that was more of a single shot. I'm not really charging up too much type of build, but for this one right here, this gives you extremely strong charge shots, and it gives you a 20% increase to your charge shot charge in heavy stance, and a 20% increase to your damage for your charge shot, which is incredible. You really notice it when you're hitting those heavy enemies. And for the other build, only thing you have to do is follow the bottom line, because what you're looking for right here is plasma speed, and that gives you the 50% increase projectile speed. And with that velocity, that's when you can really use the single shot a lot more effectively, and also just your accuracy is so much better at hitting things in the sky. So like I said, it's really a preference thing, because they are both very strong. Even the charge shot and rapid fire is still strong, just not as strong as the other way. So I prefer the charge shot way, but I wouldn't blame anybody that went for the rapid fire route. I would suggest trying them both out in a couple operations and really seeing what tailors your play style best. So a lot of new options with this gun. I like the buffs they made. I think they didn't over buff it or anything like that, but against it's probably one of the best guns against bosses now, besides possibly like the La Fusil for the sniper rifle, because it does heavy damage to the bosses. And with that melta rifle, it got that 20% debuff to the how much damage it does to bosses now. So a big difference for that gun. So with this gun, definitely very, very good against bosses as well in both modes, rapid fire or charge shot. It's very strong. And for the gun, I figured I would go all plasma for this setup. It just makes sense, right? And so we have the plasma pistol. And for this, I was just looking for the increased charge shot, so I got a 40% faster charge shot, because that does come in handy because you're mostly going to want to just be single firing this gun, but you do want those charge shots for when you're really in the thick of it and you have no ammo left with your primary. Those charge shots come in handy. They do a lot of damage. And we have this thing set up to where it is gaining 35% damage with the perks we're using with this gun as well, with these perks on the gun, and then the perks that we have on our class. We're getting a lot extra damage with this gun. So it is good to pair. Now I wish, see something like this, how this says energy reserved of plasma weapons increases by 20%. Now it says plasma weapons, but it does not actually apply to your rifle. Like, you know, I tested it out. I put this perk on, I took this perk off, started some operations, and my main gun did not change. So I figured with it saying weapons as in plural, I figured since I had two plasma weapons, the perks would synchronize with each other, which honestly, future update right there, that would be awesome if these had synchronizing perks, and the perks I was using on my plasma pistol were affecting my plasma. I get it, they're different guns, so I get it, but it still would be cool if my perks were working like that. So, and that is it that you get with the heavy right there. You know, no melee for them, but the new setup with the plasma guns, it works a lot better than it did before, and anybody who tried it out and didn't like it, I think you will probably have a lot more fun with it. So let's move over to some of the perks that we are going to want to run with this weapon loadout. As always, the starting perk for the heavy is when Iron Halo is active, all squad members within 50 meters take 10% less damage from ranged attacks, so that is always nice. And 50 meters is, you know, basically a little more than 50 yards, so that's pretty far. For our first core perk, you want auxiliary ammunition. When your primary weapon is out of ammo, killing 10 enemies in rapid succession restores ammo reserve by 20%. Cooldown is 30 seconds. For this, it's obvious. I mean, ammo is everything in this game. Next up, we have thermal boost. When a ranged weapon is 50% overheated, range damage increases by 15%. So this is for your plasma guns. Every time they are over 50% overheated, you are getting that 15% extra range damage, and I've had it off and on, and it is a noticeable difference. Now, if you are having problems surviving, you can pick one of these. It's still strong without this, but you notice the difference when you do have this on. So these are both good survivability ones. You can go with the 20% extra health or the extra 15% more contested health. I suggest this one if you're having problems surviving, the extra 20% health. But if you're looking for the supercharged shot build, this is the one you're going to want to run with. Next, we have versatility. After switching weapons, for secondary weapon does 20% more damage. The effect lasts until reloading or switching back to your primary weapon. As this one works, our plasma pistol does not have a clip, so anytime you switch back to it, you're automatically doing 20% extra damage. So with this one and this one equipped, you're doing 35% extra damage when you are 50% overheated with your plasma gun, and 20% extra damage at all times. For our team perk, we want additional supplies, 25% more ammo. Gear perks, we got Emperor's Protection. When Iron Halo expends all its energy, one armor segment is restored for all your squad members. Next is Field Adjustment. Iron Halo recharges 20% faster, but its durability is reduced by 30%. I'm really still trying to test this one out and see which one is best. I like this one for more when I'm doing like solo operations. I'm running by myself because I'm constantly getting like armor back, and this thing is charging up real fast. I'm using it and getting it back, using it and getting back. But when you have really good teammates, perhaps this 15% more slowly may be better because they will benefit more from their ability charge, getting that 50% faster from the signature. So this is a testing one that I'm doing, but I prefer this one when I'm kind of playing by myself and not playing with teammates that I know. Next up, we have Brute Force. When Iron Halo is in cooldown, range damage increases by 15%. So every time your barrier is down, you get another 15% damage added on to all these other ones. It is a lot of damage that your ranged attacks get. And then, as I said before, we'll finish it up with Conversion Field. When Iron Halo is active, all squad members within 100 meters regenerate ability charge 50% faster. For the heavy perks, I think they need some buffs. Personally, I think they need more ammo. More ammo perks. I definitely think they need more ammo perks, and I think they just need some stronger and better perks overall. Like their signature perks, they're too, like this one is just way too situational. So, and it says both of your squad members, so it's not even if one's down. So that is very situational. You're never going to really want to pick that. I think some of their perks can be buffed, but with this loadout right here, it is a very strong class, and they work well on Ruthless for sure. So alright, let's get into some gameplay and just some overall strategies all together. As you see top left, it's on Ruthless. We'll start this one with a Neothrope boss, and you will see just how powerful this charge rifle can be against them. Just well, unfortunately, the tactical, he ends up hitting them with the scan, so obviously it went down faster than it normally does. But I'm telling you, with this charge rifle, and when you charge it up, completely charged, you get some massive chunks of life off these bosses. Now this first shot, I didn't charge it enough. That's why it was so weak. But after you really, when you get that charge shot all the way up, you can really melt these guys. It's just, it is difficult to aim, so you're going to want to you have to use those hashes under your reticle and kind of aim them a little above your target. If anything is over about 15 to 20 yards, I would say. Anything over that, you're starting to use the reticle a little bit and, arch your shot down. From there, we will go to a more populated area. Yeah, this is the end of the map. You see we're still on Ruthless here. And this thing is super deadly in crowds of enemies with that charge shot. Even with the basic shot, it still has a pretty good blast radius with the patch update, but it really shows when you got that charge shot and you shoot that into a group of enemies, everything is flying away, and you're just doing a massive amount of damage. And it's just really nice. You just kind of keep an eye on your tank, whoever's grabbing the most aggro on your team, and you're really just trying to charge shot around him, keeping him kind of clear of as many enemies as you can. And that is basically what you're doing. Now, when you're playing up to these spots, what you're doing is you're mostly running out with your pistol, your mid-range. You're throwing in just basic shots and some charge shots, and then you're really just using your primary for big like, you know, when you need it, because ammo's so limited with this heavy. It makes them harder to play. And always use environmentals like that, man, because it makes a huge difference. Threw a nade right there. Also, with the heavy, you get surrounded like that. He has a nice, you charge up your stomp real fast with him, so with your melee attack, just hold it down. And then this guy spawned up out of nowhere. I was not expecting. He very rarely spawns at this part of the map. And right when I seen all those green guys behind me, I should have already, my barrier should already be on. These guys could have killed me, honestly. So I don't think I pop it until I was trying to get back here, and then I pop my barrier so those guys can't hit me with the dots. And then I go to work on this guy. The barrier is very strong, and I'm using the 20% or the 30% decreased durability, but the 20% faster charge on it, so it's still strong even with that 30% durability. So yeah, like I was saying, you're basically staying in between mid and close range with this character. It's kind of right in between there, because you know, if you're in that spot, you're really not struggling with your aim. You're not having to use the hashtags on your reticle too much. You can kind of aim straight on. Now, if you're using the rapid fire version, you are shooting pretty damn straight with that velocity, so add it to your bullets. So with that version, you can be pretty far and get really good shots off. It's just like I said, your charge shot loses a lot of its power when you do it, but they are both very viable and both fun to play. I've used both of them in different situations. So, and like I said, it's the groups that this thing can clear out. That's why you want to kind of be like not too close, because you want to be able to charge that shot up and really hit the middle of a pack. Or if you have heavies, obviously you're aiming straight for the heavies. And another thing with this gun, if you're having a lot of trouble aiming, just shoot for the feet in front of them, because it is still, I don't know if it's the same amount of damage as when you land exactly on your target, but it is still a massive amount of damage even when it hits the ground next to them. So it is still very valuable that way too. And there it is. I had a really good group this time too. I can't even take much credit on this one. This was an easy operation to do.